Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, it's about time for us to switch gear now to our discussion segment. And of course, we have right here with us our guest in the person of Mr. Matthew Oluko, who will be taking us through the discussion segment on the topic that we're about to discuss right about now. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, has insisted it was opposed to the removal of subsidy on petrol if the country fails to refine the product locally. IPMAN explained that with the government importing all the petrol consumed in the country, removing the over 3.5 trillion naira subsidy would expose Nigeria to arbitrary pricing. Now, the history of subsidy dates back to the 90s when they were introduced in response to the oil price shock of 1973, and since then Nigeria has spent billions of dollars and trillions of naira, what has become popular but a costly policy. Despite numerous reforms, Nigeria has never successfully removed fuel subsidies, in large part due to the strong popular opposition to reform. And of course, like we said, joining us right about now is Mr. Matthew Oluko, who will be giving us his analysis on this matter. Thank you so much once again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So before we go into the conversation proper, what do you make out of the issue called subsidy removal?
In the real sense of it, we are talking about a situation where Nigerians are paying less than the actual cost of the PMS. Because though, as you just said, we are not producing, we are not refining here. So if you take the crude out of the country, you bring it back, there's a possibility of the cost of production and importation being, let's say, 600 naira per liter, and Nigerians are made to pay perhaps less than 200 naira per liter. It means the government is paying the difference. That is a simple meaning of subsidy.
So do you think it makes a lot of sense for us to remove fuel subsidy at this time?
I think I totally agree with IPMAN, because if you remove subsidy without locally refining, I think we are going to be in for a serious crisis. Because if you look at it from the angle of what Nigerians are paying in terms of price per liter, Nigerians will be paying close to 600 naira per liter if you remove the difference.
Well, they've put it at about 750 naira if subsidy is eventually removed.
That is what I'm saying about. But again, I think what is important is Dangote Refinery will soon come on board. But unfortunately, Dangote Refinery will not have what it takes to take care of our local consumption. Because Dangote Refinery have in stock capacity of 650,000 barrels per day. And if you look at what they have the capacity to refine, they have the capacity to refine about 65.4 million liters per day. And that has to do with all the products that come out from the crude. Though we know that PMS itself, which is gasoline, account for 45% of whatever comes out of it. And if you look at 45% of that, it should be about 29-point-something million liters. And if you look at the record currently, the record will tell you that we are consuming about 60-something to 70 million liters of PMS. So Dangote Refinery in itself cannot take care of our local consumption every day. Because if you look at the Dangote Refinery, if it refines 650,000 barrels a day, could translate into 65.4 million liters a day. It cannot take care of our local consumption. And again, I agree with you that there is a Nigerian government through NNPC already secured 20% equity in that refinery. And they already have an agreement with that refinery that Nigerian government will be supplying 300,000 barrels a day. So it means Nigerian government would have secured agreement with them that will be will be buying directly from them. They will supply Nigerian market first. But again, I think what the Nigerian government needed to do beyond this refinery, Dangote Refinery, is to fix our refineries. And it's on record that since 2015 to date, federal government has spent 1.3 trillion to carry about turnaround maintenance of our refineries. And as we speak, none of them is working. But again, no, I'm driving somewhere.
Okay.
If you look at, I've taken time to look at what it takes to build small modular refinery. A modular refinery that will refine 20,000 barrels per day will cost about $20 million US. And $20 million US will cost is about 9-point-something billion naira. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, if you replicate that in all the states, you would have ended up building modular refinery that will end, at the end of the day, refine what we can consume locally. Because if you now build two refinery of such modular refinery in each state, including Abuja, you end up building refineries that will give us about 108,000 million liters of PMS a day, if you do the calculation. So for me, I'm saying that the money they use in carrying about turnaround maintenance of our refineries, that we are not seeing results, that it would have been better if you have used it to build modular refineries of the one that had the capacity to refine perhaps 20,000 liters of crude a day.
Well, you are talking about turnaround maintenance. You've not even talked about the fact that there are those who are working in those moribund refineries who are getting salaries. That is, of course, not accounted for. But let's look at the fact that, apart from the fact that this whole saga or the whole focus on Dangote refinery is quite embarrassing for a nation of over 200 million people to be focusing on just one man, you know, trying to do business, because of course it's going into it for business and he would like to make profit. So we're focusing on, IPMAN is saying, if you don't build refineries, don't remove subsidy. But if we build these refineries or we revamp them and they now start functioning, what is to say that subsidies will not still remain? We know that this issue of subsidy has been shrouded in a lot of secrecy. If you eventually get your refineries working, they would still follow market forces. There will still be cost of transportation. The only difference is that there might not be shipping costs from outside the country for PMS. But you will still have to move it to Warri, you have to move it to Kaduna, you have to move it to other parts of the country. Wouldn't the government still need to pay subsidy?
No, the truth is, if you liberalize the market, that is the way to go if we have all the things working for us. But unfortunately, if you liberalize it with the scenario we find ourselves, we are going to pay heavily for it. Because if we are refining locally, or if you had liberalized it before now, it would have attracted foreign investors into the downstream sector. People will come in, because Nigeria would have been, it's a lucrative market for foreign investors to come, especially in our downstream sector. But unfortunately, if you do it abruptly the way we are seeing it, the price will seriously skyrocket. And we are going to see serious multiply effect.
So you agree that in some way or the other, there might still be subsidy?
No, what I'm saying is, the government currently should be discouraged from liberalizing the market and ensure that we produce what we consume locally. Once we can have, what we can refine what we consume locally, then do away with subsidy. Because if you do that, even if the price will increase, it will not increase as much as what we have now.
Okay.
And again, you will attract foreign investors into our economy, well, especially in that sector.
Well noted. We have to let you go now. Thank you so much for your perspectives. To bring a new dimension into this issue, we would be joined by political technocrat Dr. Dayo Kayode. But a very big thank you to you, Matthew Oluko, public affairs analyst. Have a great day.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
We'll take a break now. We will be right back. Stay with us.